안녕하세요, 여러분. Hello, everyone. Um, I am going to do a different video about this, but I just wanted to do kind of like a informal, not really researched video for a bit. So I want to talk about misophonia. Now, I know that there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, I can't stand it when people chew loudly. I don't like nails on a chalkboard." That's fine. That is actually part of it. You have to understand that the definition of misophonia, the medical terminology of this word, is literally translated into the hatred of sound. And if you see me go all crazy for a second, it's because there's gnats everywhere. Welcome to the South. Anyway, so the literal medical terminology is hatred of sound. So, in essence, I mean, it is a reaction of misophonia. And so you hear the nails on the chalkboard or a fork scrape a plate and it squeaks or somebody whistles through their teeth and it kind of takes you for a second. That is a form of misophonia, but it is not the neurological disorder. It is just part of that literal definition of hating that sound. Now, this didn't start for me until I want to say in my very early 20s. Uh, and I can almost pinpoint the moment that it started, I think. I was at a movie theater and I was in line. And I was in line to get drinks and things like that. And there was this girl behind me and she was large. I mean, she was large and she had, no joke, this giant tub of popcorn under her arm. Like, well, not under, but like cradled in her arm, like around the tub. And she had just bought her tickets not but like 10 minutes before we did. And this was like massive. So I couldn't help but hear her. Oh, oh. Hold on. Okay. Every time she would take a piece of that popcorn out of the bowl and put it in her mouth, she would chomp down once really loudly. So every time I was hearing that sound, it was starting to get to me. But then I realized she was very methodical without even realizing it. So she was taking the popcorn, putting it in her mouth, taking the popcorn, putting it in her mouth, so it became a cadence. And it was almost perfectly timed, which to me made it worse. Not only that, she wasn't even looking at what she was doing. So she was just like, cramming it in her mouth, basically, just shoving it in her face. Okay, this is not a discussion about overweight. This is just a discussion about why it happened to me and where I think it started. Uh, I am by no means skinny. I think my cat is trying to attack me. Excuse me. I am by no means a thin person. Okay, so this isn't about downing anyone who isn't thin because I'm not thin. Um, my glasses, these headphones make my glasses crooked. So anyway, I didn't really think much about it anymore until I got into the theater and I sat down and then suddenly it never happened to me before. Like I'd never had this reaction before, but suddenly I could hear everybody eating. Everybody. Now, at first I was like, okay, y'all gotta ignore my hair. At first I was thinking, okay, this is just because I'm annoyed with that chick, okay? She wasn't even in the same theater as us. So I'm like, all right, Tiffany, just put it out of your head, okay? Just put it out of your head and fucking forget about it. So I tried. And for a little bit it worked. I can't remember what movie it was, but it was good enough to hold my attention. And it didn't really pop back up again that night. But then the next day, when I was with my ex that I was at the theater with, and he was eating, I suddenly could hear everything. And it wasn't like I couldn't hear it before, but now I was hyper focusing on it. We were watching TV together and eating lunch. I couldn't even hear the TV anymore. All I could hear was him eating and swallowing loudly. To me, it was loud. To him, it was confusing. To a lot of people, it's confusing. But to me, it was atrociously loud. So, the one thing you have to know about misophonia, it is wildly unresearched. So, everything that they're learning about it is kind of trial and error. It has been classified as a neurological disorder, I think 2 years ago, maybe more. I'll have to look it up. It has finally been classified as a neurological disorder and not a mental disorder. So it is something in your head. Oh, let's just take them off. It is something in your head, but it is not. It's a misfiring of sorts. So it's not like a mental condition. It's a neurological condition. It's more science side, less psychology side. So anyway, um, then I I got kind of weirded out. And then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And what I didn't realize, and what a lot of people don't realize, is they lump a lot of things together in this so that you can have your normal like audio triggers. But what I didn't realize is that my audio trigger was actually connected to the visual trigger of her just shoving food in her face. So I can't see anything. Let's try these glasses again. No. Okay. Um, so that did a lot to not help my cause at all. So then I started to read more about it, and people are like, oh, well, get over it. Everybody hates, some sound in their life. Just get over it. But it's different. And there's a quote from To Kill a Mockingbird, and I have it written on my other screen. I did not memorize it. So, but it says you never really know someone until you understand things from their point of view, until you climb into their skin and walk around in it. It's different. It's very different. I cannot establish the intensity of difference that there is in hating a sound and having just the definition of misophonia and actually having misophonia as a neurological disorder. Um, from my standpoint, I can tell you what happens to me. And after watching a lot of videos and reading a lot of um, articles, I realized that these crazy symptoms that I have are shared by the misophonia community. So basically, the neurological disorder, when your brain or you hear the sound, your brain connects it to danger for some reason. So they don't know why, but the same thing happens when you are in danger is that your fight or flight reflex kicks in immediately. But there's also another part of your brain trying to tell you that you're not actually in danger. So I feel like I get this kind of brick wall where I want to leave, but I know there's no reason I should leave because it's not dangerous. But if I hear And the big one for me, the absolute big one for me is crunching ice, chips, anything crunch. Bleh. Mm-mm. So if I hear that, immediately I am angry at whoever's making the sound. I have to plug my ears. I feel like I need to run away. And if I can't get away, then the anger turns to rage. And I usually almost cry, or I start fidgeting, or I put my hands over my ears and I have to make sound. Or if you like your tragus, you can take your tragus and just go and it'll make a sound in your ear. I have to do that sometimes. That's um it's different. And it's not something that I can just get over because what I have said a million and one times is, don't you think I wish I could live my life outside of headphones? See these bitches? They're heavy as fuck because, well, they're also my gaming headphones, but they're also my noise canceling headphones to the max. Like I have to get really nice noise canceling headphones. I'm in my office. We don't have a kitchen table because we don't eat together, my husband and I. He eats in his office, I eat in mine. If we are out at a restaurant and I can't, he tries to keep my focus so that I don't hear other people, and he already knows. Oh, it sounds so bad, doesn't it? But he already knows how to eat around me. It sounds so bad. Oh, okay. He already knows how to eat around me, so he does. So he tries to, and God bless this man. I mean, God bless everything about him because I would not have put up with me. So I try to tell him, it's not your fault. It's mine. And it's not really my fault, but it is my issue. Um, and it's not his, and it's not the people around me. That's why, even though there's that rage, it's not actually acted upon. And once the noise stops, I'm fine. Immediately, I'm fine. There is no more rage. There's no more tears. There's no more sound. I don't feel like my skin is trying to escape. Like, it's just done. I'm fine. So, the one thing that has been noticed is that it does happen a lot more so in women, but it's almost even. It's just like a very tiny amount more in women than it is in men. Also, it usually happens anywhere mainly from like age 9 and 10. It usually starts from that point up until like maybe 2021, 22. I think all the way up until 25 is what the current research is. Now remember, this is new. This is not something that anyone actually believed. Like, this was one of those get over it, you're dramatic kind of things. But now that it has been classified officially, the research is beginning to get more and more and more. There is currently no treatment, zero treatment. The treatments that are suggested are usually torturous to anyone who has misophonia. And if you know where I'm going with this, it is exposure therapy. It's not therapy, people. It's torture. Because there's no way in a million years, if you put me in a room and you say this is exposure therapy, and you have someone sitting there like chomping on ice or making repetitive sounds or breathing heavily, there's no way I'm going to stay. I mean, there's just no way I can stay. My body says, get out. There's a door. It's unlocked. Right outside the next door is your car. Get in it. Run as far as you can from that sound. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. Exposure therapy doesn't work. And actually, I am very forgiving that that has been suggested because this is so unresearched that we're kind of pioneering. I'm not. The doctors are kind of pioneering on how to treat it. So it is rather forgivable. And yes, I have clothing on. Rather forgivable that they suggest exposure therapy, but it's not a phobia. Okay. It's not misophobia. It's not the fear of sound, or it's not the fear of hate. It's misophonia. Phonia meaning sound. It's the hatred of sound. Um, Not the hatred of an unrelenting fear. Um, so yeah, exposure therapy isn't gonna work. I'm sorry, it's just not. And if you can get someone to sit through that and they don't have a nervous breakdown, then they're not as bad as they thought. Um, this isn't to down anyone who doesn't like sounds, but people tell me all the time, so what? I don't like, nails on a chalkboard. I can't stand to, you know, listen to my dog lick his fur. I get that. I can't either. um, but it's not the same. I mean, let me tell you, my rage kicks in, my fear kicks in. I start to sweat. I sometimes run a fucking fever. I am angry. I am rage filled, almost to a point of murderous intention over a sound. Okay, so it's not the same. Uh, it is agonizing. I don't go to Mexican restaurants, even though I love Mexican food, because I always happen to sit next to that one person that eats every single tortilla chip like a piece of corn on the cob, where they're like, like, just put the fucking thing in your mouth and close your mouth. Be done with it. But I do tell my friends and my family, I understand that you're frustrated because it's frustrating to me. I understand that you're frustrated. I understand that it's not your issue and you don't want to deal with it, and that's fine. But if I get up and walk out of the room until you're finished, don't get so freaking butthurt about it. If I'm taking myself and my issue out of the general vicinity of what is causing me to act this way, just be cool. I mean, I'll be back when you're done. It's no big deal. Um, Also, they'll be like, and bless all of my friends that do this. I really love them for doing this. I really wish they'd stop, but I love them for doing it. Is they'll be like, I'm really sorry I'm crunching so loudly. Thank you. But if I don't mention it, don't point it out to me. Because the second you point it out to me, I am immediately hyper focused on it. Immediately. And that's all I'm going to hear for the rest until you're finished. I will let you know if I hear it. Believe me, there's no way you can miss the fact that I can hear it. And these are not actions I can control. Okay. I just can't. You know, when, okay, this might be random, but my parents live on 12 acres of forest for some god awful reason. The least countryest people live in 12 acres of forest, whatever. Anyway, and it's at the end of a rural road. There's no other houses except up the basin, and because it's rural and it's a private driveway, a private road, there are no city street lamps. Completely dark. If you know anything about being completely dark in the woods, it's completely dark. So if I would go to my parents' house and it would be dark, and I would go to like go into the front door, so the house sits like this. Well, let's see, like this. Like if this is the front door, on either side of the house is just a patch of inky darkness. And you get that feeling that something's watching you, something's coming to get you. So you rip open the door as fast as you can and you run inside and you close it. Your adrenaline shoots up. You're in the house, you're safe. The adrenaline goes back down. But for a moment, you were ready to get the fuck out of Dodge. just for that moment that someone or something might grab you before you actually make it through that door and into the safety of a well lit house. That's the feeling I get. You can't control that. I mean, you can if you're a lot stronger than I am, and I'm not very strong, so let me recant that statement. You probably can control it. I can't. My body goes into this reflex of get the fuck out and get out now. And it's isolating, it's horrible. It is the most unfun thing I have ever had to do. 재미없어. 재미없어. 너무너무 재미없어. Uh, it sucks. It really, really sucks. Oh man, does it suck. So my triggers have moved. Once you once you realize that you have misophonia, um, and believe me, if you research it, almost every single misophonia patient, sufferer, can almost exactly match each and every symptom to every time they have a reaction. So if you want to know, go to misophonia.com and I'll put the link in the description. And read over the triggers and the symptoms. If you match more than 95% of that list, 95 and above, you probably are a sufferer. Um, it's not a badge of honor. It's not something I like. It's not something I want to, hashtag. I hate it. I fucking hate it. I want to eat dinner with my husband in our home at a fucking dinner table and not hide with my earphones on in my office. Um, I am blessed to say that snoring does not bother me. Thank God. Nuts. Because otherwise I'd never sleep with my husband. So snoring does not bother me, but once you are, once you pretty much know you have misophonia, it's pretty easy to self-diagnose. Um, your symptoms are going to get worse. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they are going to get worse. You are going to pick up more triggers. And you are going to realize how quickly you can talk yourself into a trigger. So mine went from food to environmental sounds like typing, like repetitive sounds, basically. Typing, um, clicking nails, uh, the way if you laugh a certain way and then right after that laugh you're like, oh, I know people like that and I hate it. I hate it so much. I dread making those people laugh. It is that bad. I try my best not to make those people laugh. It's sad. You learn to avoid the places like not going to a Mexican restaurant. But so moved not moved, I mean I've added from food. I've also added environmental triggers, visual triggers, and now repetitive sounds are a big one for me. I can't stand it. I can't stand hearing people drink really fast and gulp like my husband will gulp his sodas and I fucking hate it. Um but yeah, that's about it. I'm going to do more research on the subject. I'm going to put more out there, but for right now I just wanted to explain my version of events and how it affects me. Um and then I'll come back with uh some more things on how it affects others and what science is doing to try and help it. Uh They have tried medications. Like I said, they try exposure therapy. They've tried many things and nothing seems to work. They've even tried restless leg medication and that doesn't work either. There was some mechanic in it that could have worked, but it doesn't. Um, so we suffer without any other way but to live in headphones. And that's oh, I'll give you one good example. The other day, I had left a, bo- I had drank like half a Coke, like a 20 ounce, and I left it in my back seat. Uh, and as I was driving, I could hear the liquid. Mm-mm. I mean, I had to pull over because I would have crashed the car trying to reach the bottle to get it to shut the fuck up. So I pulled over on the side of the road, almost in tears, grabbed the bottle, took the lid off, poured it out with like the most vicious intent. Put the bottle cap back on, put it back in my car. Because I'm not a litter bug. But yeah, it is that bad. At one point, my other car had this squeak that I couldn't figure out. It was driving me crazy. No matter what I did, that squeak was there. It was interior. I knew it was something inside. I bawled all the way home. And it got to the point to where I was banging on the steering wheel. I was screaming at it like you could hear me. And that's why I say exposure therapy will never work because that was a 30-minute drive home and it was hell. It was absolute hell. So that's my story. Uh, so yeah, there you go. That's me and my hatred of sound. So go me. Anyway, 여러분 감사합니다. Until next time. 안녕.